This is the Jason Walker Show. Two-time National Sports Media Association Montana Sportscaster of the Year and three-time loser, the Jason Walker Show. The best local and statewide sports coverage, featuring the biggest guests from Montana.
Flint Rasmussen joining us here on the Jason Walker Show.
He's freaking exhausting, too. You used to dance a lot more. Yeah, I know, lady. I'm 51 years old now.
The NAI Hall of Famer Mike Van Diest joining us here, Jason Walker Show. And is it just a deal where quarterbacks have to be good golfers?
Well, that's all they have time for. They don't work out. They don't lift weights. They don't do anything else. They might as well go get on the golf course and at least have some fun.
And from across the country,
Doug Gottlieb, our guest here on the Jason Walker Show.
End of the day, remember, it's your show. It's got your name on it.
Howie Mandel, our guest here.
Jason Walker, deal or no deal?
the Jason Walker Show, broadcasting from the Major Mortgage Man Cave. Here's Jason Walker.
Hey, happy whatever today is, Thursday. It is the Jason Walker Show, and we are presented by Capital Collision Center. Montana State Law says it is your vehicle. It is your choice where you have it repaired. Choose Capital Collision Center inside the Major Mortgage Man Cave today. We're going to talk to Mickey we're going to talk to Lockwood. It's a country singing group. Lockwood or Lockland. I don't know what their name is, but they're going to be on the show today. I think it's Lockland. They're pretty cool dudes. We're going to chat with them. Oh, I get all excited when I have actual live people to talk with in the studio. So that is why I'm always nervous. Also, Jack Hanna with some disturbing news today, his family, and going to share some Jack Hanna memories. He's still alive, but some disturbing news. And also, Raleigh Worcester enters the transfer portal. Dude just can't figure out anything to keep him happy. So that is where we're at. I don't know what buttons I'm pushing. We're just all over the place, but we're going to have fun. We're going to start the show by welcoming in to the Major Mortgage Man Cave, famed PRCA award-winning trick rider. Is that what I can call you?
Yes, I guess so.
It is Madison MacDonald Thomas. How are you?
I'm good. How about yourself?
I'm great. It is. It's been like 2 years since we chatted, and there's been a lot of life changing, including you moving from up north to Helena.
I know I've kind of been all over the place. I've been getting a lot of jokes since I moved here because I still got Texas plates on my truck, and my stock trailer has Alberta plates, and everybody's like, you just can't decide where you want to live, huh? I'm like, no, I think we finally found a home base for a second anyways.
Why Helena?
You know, that's been the number one question in the last 6 months, and between me and my husband. And honestly, kind of spur of the moment. It wasn't something that was necessarily talked about. Me and my husband, we've been together since 2014. And as you know, driving from Texas to Alberta, every year you go through Montana. And Keegan is West Texas born and raised. And when he came up to the mountain, he's always loved Montana. Fell in love with Alberta, but has always loved Montana. And I remember years ago when we were driving through, I said, what in the world are we going to do in Montana? Like, why would we even move there? And but we've always loved it, always talked about it. And then 2017, when we really started rodeoing a lot harder, we're staying up here, leaving horses here. I would leave horses here a bunch and go back to Alberta because it was easier than always crossing them. And then I guess at the end of the day, because I'm from Alberta, all my connections and stuff, I'm always up north rodeoing in the summer. So pretty much from May to October, we were always north. And finally this year, when COVID hit and crossing the border became a lot more difficult, we kind of had to make a decision, because going up to Alberta was getting to be tough because we couldn't really work up there. And we were still working down here. So honestly, I don't know why exactly Helena. We were just here. We've got a lot of friends here. I've been performing here on and off since 2010. I went back and looked. So, you think about it over the years, that's a lot of connections that you make. And I've been to, I think, every single city in this state, and this is the one that we've always loved. And so we're just thankful that it's all worked out so far. And yeah, we've loved it. We're so thankful. It's honestly kind of a blessing in disguise, but it's been an amazing 6 months so far.
Madison MacDonald Thomas, our guest here. So you and I first met 2 years ago.
Yeah,
at the Stampede.
Mm-hmm.
And it was my fault because I didn't reach out really to you. I reached out to your friend, Little Piper, that was performing with you. But it was a great time because it was hot. It's always hot at the Stampede, which is beautiful, by the way. But how have you, I mean, it's tough. Those last 2 years have been really, really tough since we met because of COVID and because of everything.
You know, it really was. I got spoiled in 2019. It was by far my best summer of my career. I was on the road from pretty much the start of May to the middle of October every weekend. I got to see some amazing country, made more money than I ever thought I'd ever make trick riding, and had a blast. And then to go from such a high like that to then in 2020, we started out the same way. I hit Denver, San Antonio, and then had a full schedule again, and about to see a repeat of 2019. And then to start seeing everything crumble. It was hard because it is our livelihood, so it was very difficult. My husband and I are lucky that we do have our irons in different fires, so we can keep ourselves always busy. We always somehow stay busy. And I think my students and clients were very happy because I got to spend a lot more time teaching this year than I normally have ever got to spend, because when I travel and stuff, I don't get to have as much time for my kids. So that was, I know, made a lot of people happy, but it was tough. I was very thankful. You know, like I said, we came up here, and I think that was a big blessing because Big Timber went. So Big Timber filled my schedule. Libby grabbed me because I was up here. There wasn't a lot of acts that were traveling, but I still had probably about a handful of rodeos go through. I went to Nephi, Utah twice, Salt Lake City, Dodge City, Kansas. So I had a few pull through. Big Timber really did fill in my schedule. Sure. And it was just enough to kind of, you know, chug along. But like I said, oh my goodness, once everybody got wind that COVID and hit that all my rodeos were canceling and they had all these kids at home because they were homeschooling, my phone went off the hook for lessons and teaching. And so, you know, I'm very blessed that I've got that to help me and back me up as well.
You do have, was it Helena tonight and then tomorrow, and then you head off to Malta? Is that right?
Yes. Actually, I think today I've got off, but tomorrow I'm teaching. Okay. And then I head to Malta for 2 days. And then, I'm back here Monday teaching. I'll probably teach for about 4 hours Monday afternoon just to try to get everybody in because I leave for 2 weeks. So that kind of throws everybody for a loop, especially since I've been here and I've been so available. Now with how my summer's looking, which I'm thankful, we're getting booked up. So it'll be a busy summer back on the road.
So do you do, when you're on the road and performing at rodeos, do you also do lessons in between?
I try not to. Okay. I teach a little bit. I'm very selective. I get so tired when we start performing, and it's the driving and the traveling is really what wears you out. I'm kind of really excited for this summer because now that we have a home base up here, it's going to make my whole driving and traveling a lot easier because I don't have anything, I don't think, over a 15-hour drive this year. And that's like really exciting because normally it's always 20 hours here, you know, and so this year it's not going to, I don't think, be as bad. So I'm pretty excited about living up here because everything's closer and I get to actually come home during the week. So I told everybody here that I'll continue my Helena lessons. I don't think I'll travel as much and do clinics. I try to just, if I'm there and people want to come in like the day after, if I'm somewhere and I'll teach something the day after. But once I get into the summer and performing, it's tough. And I've got another goal. I've got a really good barrel horse. So I've always kind of competed on the side, but it's tough to do the two because, you know, as a contestant, you go to 3 to 4 rodeos in a weekend and I'm only at 1. So It's tough to be competitive. But now that I'm up here, I'm dang sure I'm going to try. So I told everybody, I said, once June hits, my lessons are going to get slow down. And then once October, you know, hits again, it's end of September. Well, I can't even say I'm booked every weekend in September. So it'll be October by the time I'll be able to start back up again.
Which is awesome. Definitely. Okay. So it's hard to barrel race though during a competition because you're usually somewhere in right around barrel racing, right?
It makes it pretty entertaining.
So can you barrel race in your trick riding costumes?
You know, everybody always dares me to, and I can't do it because I'm still a competitor, and I've always been like that. I loved competing. When I was in high school rodeo, trick riding was kind of the sideline for me. I did all 5 events, made it to nationals. I really loved it, and then once I started going to the NFR, you got to pick and choose. And that's what me and Ty Erickson were even talking about the other day. It's how much effort you put in, into it. And at the end of the day, trick riding took off for me. So It was one of those things where I had to make a choice. And I put all my ducks in the basket with trick riding because at the end of the day, I can run barrels till I'm 60, but I'm probably not going to hang off the side of the horse when I'm about 50 plus. I just, I've always told myself that there's going to be a line when I'm not going to make myself do it. So I was like, but I'm a competitor. So it's really hard for me not to, but honestly, normally I'll run in slack. My husband rides saddle bronc, so I do get lucky and I will enter with him and drop in the perf. And there's been a few times, I can say a couple of times, sometimes they're generous and they'll move my trick riding ahead. So I have a couple events, but some rodeos, like Hand Hills, Alberta, I'll never forget it. I literally got out of the arena from performing, found my biggest pair of jeans and shirts, put it over my trick riding outfit, jumped on my barrel horse and had to go and ran, smoked a run too. And I was like, man, I really need to start doing it this way more often, less time to think. But that's usually how it happens when I enter with my husband because I always get the perfs. And then, they put trick riding right before barrels usually. So.
Yeah. Madison MacDonald Thomas, our guest here, Jason Walker Show. She is an award-winning PRCA trick rider. How many times have you gone to the NFR?
9 times in Las Vegas. I didn't get to do the main NFR this year, but I did perform at the Breakaway NFR.
Okay, right.
And then I honestly had a different hat. I carried sponsor flags this year. They were short girls last minute, and because of COVID with all the restrictions and getting your credentials and the whole procedure, because I was there, they asked me, and so I got to be a part of it again this year inside Globe Life. And it's just, anytime you can be a part of that event is pretty special.
What was the biggest difference between Vegas and Globe Life?
Lots of things.
Without the crowd too.
It was very tough. Some people really enjoyed being able to see everything. For the rest of us, it was kind of hard because you can never hide. You're always in the limelight. Contestants warming up, everything. Like you don't really get out of that atmosphere. And that's one thing that I know as a competitor, and even as just being in there, sometimes it's nice to be able to kind of get out of that atmosphere for a second, but some people really loved it and thrived on it. The biggest thing with Texas to Vegas, I think, because we lived in Texas and I know Dallas and Fort Worth like the back of my hand now, is the distance. Like you go to Vegas and everything is within a mile. You can go to all the events. You can go to the barrel racing, the team ropings. You can go to everything and the Cowboy Christmas and stuff. And that was something when we were down in Arlington, it was 30 minutes to Cowboy Christmas. And and it was a hike and you had to pay for parking everywhere. And so for us, we just stayed in Arlington. Like it was almost too much to start driving around to get to go to everything. And we know that city,
right,
really well too. So that was the big thing for me. I think we just get spoiled in Vegas for everything. You can get to everything in one day. Right. And bless the contestants if they actually had to do autograph signings and because all of that was canceled this year because of COVID. But if they actually had to do all those sponsor interactions and stuff, it would have been long days. It was a lot of driving back and forth. So I think that was the main difference. But other than that, they did an amazing job. And they really did with what they had. They put on a really good, they did a really good job.
What was cool too is once the Cowboy Channel figured out they had problems opening night, but the stream was awesome. And showing the opening ceremonies,
it was a nice change.
15 minutes before, that is so cool because we've been to a ton of rodeos. That is the grand entrance is one of the best awesome things in rodeo. The flag, everything, and the fact that they showed it all. Really, I hope they do that again when they get to Vegas.
I do too, because that's been the biggest problem is that's where I always perform. So for the last 9 years, everybody's like, I've never got to see you. And I'm like, well, because I was at the first 15 minutes. And so that's always been the biggest thing. So I'm hoping maybe this year, I know why they did it is because they always wanted to try to get people in the stands. They wanted to leave a little bit of suspense. But then also too, there's a lot of people that'll never get there.
Right. So
it is nice for even like someone like me who's been there 9 times and people are like, I've never seen you. And I'm like, well, that's because you got to come at 6:45. Like I'm in between 6:45 and 7 once 7 hit because they don't have time with the commercial breaks. They don't run any of that extra stuff during the show. So I'm hoping if I get to go back this year, I hope that they get to do the opening, so then people will get to actually see everything.
Right. Well, and if you're going to Thomas and Mack, you just forego that last beer pregame. Go in and watch the opening ceremonies. Exactly.
That's why I tell everybody you have to go at 6:45 because anybody that ever comes to watch me, I'm like, if you get there at 6:50, you're gonna miss it. Like you gotta get there. Unfortunately, and they don't show it much, and and I think it is a good thing because I've had more people compliment about watching the opening, and I hope that's something that they do take into account for this upcoming NFR.
I hope so too, and like I said, I mean it was pretty darn awesome when we got to watch it. All right, so how were you chosen for the NFR?
It's a selection process. So every year we get actually I have to do it, but they send us an email out and we have to apply to all the events that we want to. We have to apply if we want to be nominated for Act of the Year and all that stuff. And then we apply to the circuit finals that we want to get looked at and at the NFR. And then those places will get presented a list, and then they'll go through and kind of like a round table. We kind of vote, and on it, it's a little bit different. Where like the bullfighters and the clown, the bullfighters get selected by the bull riders and stuff like that. This is a little different. It's kind of more personal preference because at the end of the day, they need something that fits their production. They don't do a normal rodeo setup where they have a 3 to 4 minute act break. I was like at the NFR at the breakaway finals, we had a 5-minute break where they needed a filler. So we were able to do a full act, but normally when I'm at the NFR, I'm in the arena for 45 seconds. Right. And my husband always laughs at me because it's like a 2-hour prep for this 45-second 3-lap thing around the arena. And he's like, you do realize how much time we do? And I'm like, I know, but it's the pictures and it's the camera. And you're like, that 45 seconds is it's a lot of work. But that's the biggest difference is when it goes through that, it's a kind of a selection process. And for me, I've been there now for 9 years, and they can pretty much they don't have to worry about me. And I think that's why I keep going back is I haven't messed up, knock on wood. I've had very smooth shows. I kind of just do what they want. And that's something that the NFR is such a big production to put on. There's so many moving parts. Mm-hmm. That's why Sean brings back the same people. That's why the same people usually do come back because you don't have to train anybody. You don't have to worry about them. You can put them in their place. You can tell them what you want, and then they'll produce it. And that's what he wants, and that's what he's always wanted. And I giggle. I think they got lucky, and they caught me at a very young age because they caught me at 18, and I never said no. Yeah. They would give me an idea. They said, could you pull this off? Like running my horse around the pyro literally feels like it's World War II and they're blowing up. Like there's just pyro everywhere. Man. The lights, the lasers, like what I make my horses run through is kind of, I can't believe they actually do it for me sometimes. But I never said no. And I know that's one thing that they don't like that word. You say no and they kind of write you off. Yep. And I giggle all the time. I said, you guys just caught me when I think young and invincible, know. And now I look at what they've allowed me, like kind of grew me into. And it's pretty cool. Yeah, no doubt about it. Okay, so you mentioned, knock on wood, no big accidents. You put on Facebook the other day, you almost smoked your husband. I'm showing it now. I did. We've had me and him have a lot of close calls. I'm just really glad it's him on the end of that tape. It's actually funny. So usually I always get the bullfighters to do that, right? Because you think, that's their job, right? And some bullfighters are amazing at it, and then I've have a few they're really good friends of mine, but they're scared to death, and I giggle. Like Cody Webster, he was just nominated best bullfighter of the year. He just won bullfighter of the year this last year, and he is scared to death to stand on that end of that trick tape. Like he stood on there the day before, and he was just shaking like a leaf. And him and Keegan will joke around all the time, and I guess Keegan said that he was kind of busting his bubble before he went in there, and then got karma. Taken out. Oh yeah, and it's just so funny because it's a tough position. Because you can't move, you can't move too soon. If you move too soon, you can get us hurt. But if they don't move soon enough, then you run them over. But you can tell, like, I at least bent my knee. Like, I tried to save them.
You, the horse, and your husband all survived.
Yes,
which is a good thing. Did you get, okay, so if something like that happens, do you go back to the trailer afterwards and decompress and be like, dude, what?
No, we talk about it because he knows my horses, and that horse is older, so he knows the game. And the hardest part is when I'm in those dark arenas, they can't see. And if they don't shine the spotlights right, those horses run blind a lot of the time until they can kind of catch a glimpse. And by the end of that show, they finally put a spotlight on Keegan so the horses could actually see him.
Well, that was nice.
But no, like Keegan and I will talk about it. Like I remember it vividly because I told him because we set my tricks. Like I set my lineup, and especially with who I'm riding with, it depends on what tricks I get to do. And I always pick last, so whatever's available is kind of what I get to go with. And it also depends on how you don't have a lot of time to switch and grab straps too. So you kind of have to pick your tricks where you can have time to get your feet in the right straps and blah, blah, blah. So anyways, that trick in particular, your strap is so low, it's hard to get it halfway through the show. And it's kind of one of those ones that it's always a jaw dropper when you come running in it. But the downside is that your horse does that. And I told him, I warned him, because I was having trouble all week getting that horse to the end of that arena because he didn't like that dark house. He didn't like it down there. And I kept telling him, I said, you better be ready. I said, he's going to get you. And he said, well, just get him in there and set him on the wall. And, and I did. And I even waited 2 or 3 strides, but nope. He was going for him. And Keegan, you'll watch at the end of that video, he kind of does a little tiptoe, and it's because my toe hit him, and he thought it was Vegas. He thought he was done. Like, he thought for sure he was getting run over, smacked. He's he came out of the arena. He's like, when you hit me, I so thought that was your horse. He's like, I thought I was dead at that moment.
Well, I'm glad everybody was okay.
Oh yeah, just a giggle.
You know what's funny, and I've been on the back of the chutes when you've performed in Helena, and it's usually, like I said before, an event. So you've got cowboys right there on the chute. You've got everybody getting, ready, whether it's saddle bronc, whatever it is. Yep. And everybody's getting ready, and you can hear you going around yelling at the cowboys, like, get out of the way.
Well, because, you don't want to hurt any of them. And a lot of them get in kind of their own little la-la land when they get in the arena. And it's honestly the worst ones are our friends. And those are the ones that know better. Because in Sandpoint, Idaho, one of Keegan's best friends that I've known forever, and he's held tape for me and stuff too, he was like walking along the buck and shoes and stopping and looking at me. And I literally had to like yell at him. I'm like, get out of my way. Like, I don't want to, I'm going to kill you. And it's because my horses, they aren't forgiving. And they kind of, my black horse will move. But if I'm on my yellow horse, no, he won't move. Like, if you're in his way, he'll mow you down. So normally what I'll do, I'll stick my foot out sometimes on the buck and shoots, and I'll yell at him and kind of tap all of the cowboys and be like, it's just a heads up, because if they trip or stumble my horse, or we collide when I'm in a trick, like it takes 2 seconds. Like, we take advantage of what we do, the trick riding, but I've seen some crazy things over the years, and I know how fast. And it takes one wrong step on that horse, and we can be in a pretty big wreck pretty quick.
Can you stick around for a second?
Yeah, for sure.
Right, we'll come back. Madison MacDonald Thomas is joining us. We're going to work on getting Facebook up and running. I don't know what's going on there, but we'll get her back, and she's going to get a sip of water and check her messages from her rock star people friends. Maybe we can get Cody Webster, but there is funny stuff. We go back to Cody Webster when we come back. I want to talk about it, because bull riders and bullfighters are afraid of horses, a lot of them, and that's not a joke. It's really true, and we'll talk about it when we come back. And also, how do you get into the game of trick riding? That's next. This is the Jason Walker Show.
New vehicles keep coming, and Capital Collision Center keeps earning certifications to repair them. They're Helena's newest GM-certified facility. No matter the make or year, they repair your car to manufacturer's standards and requirements, maintaining its safety and value. Montana state law says it's your vehicle, and it's your choice where you have it repaired. Choose Capital Collision Center, certified in GM, Subaru, and Nissan, and Helena's only shop certified in Honda, Acura, and Ford. When you value safety, go to Capital Collision Center on Euclid.
Have you thought about buying a home and just don't know where to begin? Well, when it comes to one of the most important purchases one can make, we understand it can be frustrating and confusing, but it doesn't have to be. Let the Major Mortgage team help you with all your mortgage needs. Major Mortgage means major service, and we would love the opportunity to help you today. Give J.R. McFadden, NMLS number 1246357, a call today at 406-465-1918, or you can visit him at 2001 11th Avenue, Building A, Suite 3 in Helena. Major Mortgage is a division of AMCAP Mortgage, NMLS number 129122, equal housing lender.
New vehicles keep coming, and Capital Collision Center keeps earning certifications to repair them. They're Helena's newest GM certified facility. No matter the make or year, they repair your car to manufacturer's standards and requirements, maintaining its safety and value. Montana state law says it's your vehicle and it's your choice where you have it repaired. Choose Capital Collision Center, certified in GM, Subaru, and Nissan, and Helena's only shop certified in Honda, Acura, and Ford. When you value safety, go to Capital Collision Center on Euclid.
Store-wide savings are what you'll find when you shop for new home furnishings at Rucker's Furniture. This means tremendous values on Helena's largest in-stock selection of home furnishings. When you shop Rucker's, you'll find store-wide savings on the furniture you want for every room in your home. And you'll also find our selection of Serta iComfort, the most comfortable beds in Helena. 12-month financing is available with approved credit on most purchases over $289. Ask for details. You'll find store-wide savings at Rucker's Furniture, 1010 Dearborn, Helena.
I learned back when I was 6, teaching my stick horse to do tricks, putting on a backyard rodeo.
Welcome back, Jason Walker Show. Little McBride and the Ride from the Sacred Ground album, 1992. That is Trick Rider. It's a great song. And it just made me think of our guest who's sticking around in the Major Mortgage Man Cave, Madison MacDonald Thomas. It's a great song. Okay, Madison, I got to ask you this. How? I mean...
Why'd I start this crazy adventure?
Yeah. At what age are you sitting there going, you know what? I think I want to hang off the side of a horse.
I was 4. I know. I started so my mom used to work for the Calgary Stampede back in the day and used to produce the Wild West shows for corporate events, or corporate companies, okay, I should say. And so she started taking me when I was itty bitty to these, and my mom was all about it. It was a show, so there was no roping. It was I think she just had broncs and bulls, barrels, trick riding, and she did a cutting horse demonstration, and then did like a fun little gunfight deal, and that was it. And the trick riding and the barrel racing always stuck out to me, and I always said that, I don't know, I guess I think like any young girl, it's the flashy costumes, the fast horses, and I don't know, I never gave up on it. Like, I kept bugging them, and like any parent at that age, they just kind of shrug their shoulders like, okay, yeah, whatever. And I think about, I can't even remember. I think it was 6 or 7. They took me to Nikki Camart at the time. She's Nikki Flunger now. And just let me kind of sit on the saddle, stand up in it, do some of the stuff, just to see if I would even enjoy it. And still kept bugging them after that. And then when I was 6 years old, they finally got me in lessons. Because my mom, I was very fortunate because she worked for Calgary and she hired the trick riders. So she had a lot of the contacts. So we brought one lady out of retirement, Jerry Deuce, and there was actually a couple other girls up there at the time that were interested in it too. So she started teaching us. It was 3 of us at the time that started our little group, and the 3 grew to 17 and grew to 20. Wow. I don't know. It just kept growing and kind of broke off, and we kind of went off and into different groups up there. And that's why my dad would always giggle, like, you shake a tree and 20 trick riders would come out in Alberta, because it was true. It was a sport that it blew up. And like I said earlier, I trick rode a lot during junior high and high school, but it wasn't always my main focus. Like I said, I spent a lot more time roping and doing my rodeo events, because I was pretty dedicated to high school rodeo. I trick rode once a week. I did the shows that came, but it wasn't really a huge focus. It was something that was always in the back of my head. I drove to California once a year to get training down there. and learned from a fellow there, and he completely changed my world. Tad Griffith, it was his name, and he took my trick riding to a whole new level. And then it's funny how life all works out. You know, I graduated in 2011, and the year that I graduated high school, I got a phone call to go work the NFR, and worked the NFR. But I also got an opportunity that January to do the Fort Worth Stock Show. So I moved to California right after I graduated.
Oh, wow.
And moved in with my instructor and just started prepping, because that's who I was riding with at Fort Worth, and just started prepping for Fort Worth and got to do the NFR. And that's 100% reason why my trick riding took off. Like, as soon as I graduated high school, I didn't get I could have got rodeo scholarships. I had some, but you don't turn down the NFR. And then when all those opportunities, Fort Worth, and then I started really creating a name for myself down here in the States, it just kind of just slowly just grew. And I'll be honest, it doesn't happen overnight. I teach that and preach that 20 times over to my students, because, you know, everybody thinks it's an overnight success, but it was 7 years of me even performing at the NFR till I had a real full summer of rodeos. You know, like you still have to prove yourself in this industry. You still got to make a name for yourself, even though you may be hired at the top. There's still a lot of people, other people you got to prove yourself to. And now I'm at the point in my career where I don't have to call anybody for a show. You know, I've made a very well-known name for myself. So if they want a trick rider, they know who to call. And it's amazing to see how many years of hard work and, you know, and lots of summers where I'm scraping by, but still trying to be determined to stick on this path, and maybe only getting 4 or 5, 6 rodeos in the year. And then now looking at what I do compared to, and, you know, you got to go through the hard times to get to the good times. And I kept looking, you know, I'm thankful for the NFR. If it wasn't probably for the NFR keeping me on them and keep hiring, I don't know if I would have probably stuck with it, because I did have a couple of years where rodeos were few and hard to come between. Now I look at it, I'm like, oh my gosh, I need 2 of me.
Well, you've got a little one.
Piper.
Not you, but little Piper.
Yep.
Who is following in your footsteps. She was here at the Stampede 2 years ago, like we said earlier. Mm-hmm. But she lost her horse this year. She
did. Freak accident, honestly. How that horse, he got a cut in his tongue, which turned into a major infection, which just then, you know, like, it's kind of crazy how these animals are so fragile. You don't think that they are, but little things like that. And they did everything they could, because that horse has kind of been her prize and joy. And, he was a rock star pony, so that was tough. She had a little accident herself last summer as well, so it was kind of a tough loss, a very hard loss, even trying to get through San Antonio. It's not the same for her, so it's going to take a second for us to find another partnership like that. She's got some older boys that are helping her get through it right now, but it's definitely not the same. And that's why I keep telling them, like, you know, it's tough. It's a tough game that you get into with this industry, and these horses, especially trick riding horses, like, I just, you know, what I just did to save mine. Yeah. But I've had him for 16 years. You know, he's been to every NFR. The amount of kids that can perform on him, I still perform on him, you know. So it's one of those things where these horses in this industry, the trick riding, not any horse can do this. And when they get to the level that where I'm at, and if I can trust them and do what I do, they're pretty valuable.
Madison MacDonald Thomas, our guest here, Jason Walker Show. Is there another Piper in the wings?
I hope so. I got a little girl here that's kicking butt. She's a gymnast and loves horses, and she's doing awesome. And that's what I tell everybody. I giggle because I said, I'm 28 now, so I'm not old, but in the trick riding world, I'm starting to get on the older side of things. And if you think about it, oh my goodness, I've been doing it since I was 6. So my poor body is starting to go, okay, Maddie, any day now. Yeah. You know, and I love it. I don't think I'll ever give it up now. It's too easy for me. I've been doing it for so long. I just go and do it. You know, I don't really have to think about it. But I just gave a big spiel to my girls a couple weeks ago, because that's the reason why I teach. Is I have set a very high bar in this industry, and I have taken the trick riding to a whole new level. But that's also why I teach it. It's because I need to make another me. At the end of the day, like, I've created this industry, and I want it to survive. I want the sport to keep going. It's a beautiful sport. It's just a lot of hard work and determination. And it takes a special kid to really want to do it. A lot of kids get into it, and I promote every kid to try it at some point, because the amount of parents and all that we talk about how much it just improves riding, your confidence. You may never become a trick rider. That's okay. But just getting on there and experiencing a different side of things and getting comfortable moving around. And then if you ever do get in trouble, you can, you have a better chance on and saving yourself in situations too. So I hope there's another one. Everybody, I don't have time to have my own right now, so I keep hoping that I can train one. So hopefully we can get some of these girls going. But honestly, I've got a really good group of girls here in Montana, a good group of girls here in Helena. I can't believe the interest in this state for the sport, and I love it. I'm hoping we can start getting some competitions going for the girls. That's kind of my next goal, just to give them somewhere to go, even doing some showcases and stuff, because there's a lot of kids in the state and up here that they're working hard and they're trying, and my goodness, it's a tough sport. So
we talked about Cody Webster a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
Great bullfighter.
He is.
There's a lot of great bullfighters out there. There's a lot of great bull riders out there that are afraid of horses. Maybe this is what you need to do, is get the bullfighters and bull riders as a young age, get them on these trick riding horses, do some tricks, because it could help them. You
want to know some fun facts?
Yes.
Sage Kimsey was a trick rider.
Really?
Zeke Thurston was a trick rider.
Okay, well, they're both pretty good at what they do.
Yeah, you got 2 world champions right there, right? And I giggle all the time, because even my husband, he'll mess around, and that's what we talk about. I remember I used to trick ride with Zeke. I high school rodeoed with him too, right. But like I giggle now and seeing him that he's like 2-time world champion saddle bronc rider. I'm like, yep, see, it pays off. Yep. But it's true. It really is. I giggle because it is something that I think a lot of people miss when it goes to competing things, because me and my husband are talking about it too, because my husband used to ride saddle bronc a lot, went up north and started out riding for the chuck wagons. But now that COVID and Canada's kind of shut down, he's going to finally get back on broncs again, which I'm super excited about. But and so we were talking about, I think he's rode so much more in the last 6 to 7 years that we've been together, and especially from being up there in the chuck wagons and stuff. And he's like, his whole perception when it comes to bucking horses now is completely different. And I do believe that it's something that is missed. And I think if you are going to get into anything in rodeo, you just got to get in tune with the animal. It doesn't matter what you have to understand what you're getting on and be in tune with it and feel it jump for jump and be able to stick with it. And that's what we do. I feel that horse every stride, every step. I know what they're going to do 3 strides before they do it, because you got to pay attention to it. You got to be, it's kind of whatever you want. It's like be one with them. Right. And it's 100% true, because if not, that's a big animal to work against. It's a big animal, and they're a lot stronger than us.
Do you come up with new tricks, or are you just sticking with the good standbys? Because I don't know how much more dangerous you can get.
It's one of those things that all my kids try to reinvent the wheel and stuff, and you can't. There's some that we've tried to come up with. There's some that are definitely that I've wanted to accomplish. I thought I would have gotten done by this point in time, my age, but I also ride very big, fast horses for my size. So that also limits me. If I kind of got on a horse that was a little bit smaller and slower, that actually fit me, I could do some really cool stuff and stuff that I don't get to perform, because when I get on my 2 fast, big guys, like they're a lot of horse. And so for me to do some of these other tricks, all the ones that you see perform, like, I step out of the box, and Shelby will, and even Piper, us 3 Canadians, a lot of the Canadians will, but once you get into the vaulting, which is when you're hitting the ground and jumping back on, and then when you get into the different shoulder stands, and then those are what they always would call like man tricks, because back in the day, this was more men did this than females, because it was a competition sport. It wasn't performance like it's turned into now. Trick riding was a part of it. Was an event, and It was a guy event because it was like a competition. Like somebody would go and pull something off, and then the next person would have to do something better, right? So they invented all these crazy things. If you look in the book, my gosh, they've got like brooms under the tails. Like they used to do some of the most crazy things that I wouldn't even try to do nowadays. But that was the thing is, there are certain tricks because when you get into that, you need more strength. And guys at the end of the day are naturally stronger than us females. And I work out. I'm pretty strong for my small size. But when you put me up against those horses, yeah, it limits you a little bit. But if I get on my small little buckskin that fits me, you'll see me do a lot of different things. But it's because, yeah, it fits me a little bit better, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Okay, you hang off the side. You're like perpendicular to the horse. The vaulting is awesome, but you do the around the neck. Under the neck, yes. And you can go under the belly too. And wait, what? You can. Oh yeah. We fooled around with it. We can do it. It's just like another one of those things. You need the right horse. You need one that's not gonna run off like mine. And we've had a few that we've talked about trying to really get it going, but it's also I'm so busy. Like, I wish I got time to work on myself and practice and like I used to. But now every time I get out there and work, I'm working with the kids, and that's fine because the basics, they keep me fresh. They keep me, they really do. They keep me in really good shape. But then again, for me to go spend an hour in the practice pen for myself doesn't really get to happen as much anymore. So now I guess I'm at the age where I'm going to probably just stick with what I got. I've accomplished 2 years ago that full shoulder stand, which was a guy's trick, and no girl performs the true full shoulder stand. And I'll do that this weekend in Red Bluff and stuff. So I've got that one nailed down, and that was a really big accomplishment for me because I've worked for a lot of years to get that trick. And under the belly was one that's probably will be sitting in the back of my mind. Like, you should have done it while you could have. But then again, my instructor's mom did it when she was in her 40s or 50s at the NFR. So it's one of those things. But I also kind of don't know. My husband, he's like, I don't know. He always tells me that I push my luck enough. Okay, so the NFR, outside of the NFR, what's your favorite rodeo to go to and perform at? Oh, that's a tough one. Honestly, Helena was always on the top of my list for a very long time because of this crowd. I've never, this crowd's been electric every single time I've come here. I can run into that arena for that American anthem, and it's amazing. This one, Nephi, has treated me very well. Nephi, Utah. Honestly, kind of a small little rodeo that I didn't really know about, but amazing people, small town kind of feel. Sure. There's so many of them, I could go on. Like, I even go back to years. Some of my favorite ones in Washington, Kennewick, Washington was one of my favorite ones in Washington. It's kind of crazy looking at how many I've got to do, but one of my favorite outdoor ones will always be this one, the Last Chance Stampede. Obviously, Calgary, you've done. No. You've never done Calgary? No. You know what the saddest part is? All my mentors, Nikki Kamart, or Flunger now, and then Jerry Deuce, everybody did it, and that's where I used to go every Calgary, watch Nikki and the Chuck Wagons. That was my favorite, and the barrel racing. I'd always watch those, and they quit using axe, and we tried for years. Piper got in there, I think it was last year or 2 years ago, and just did the Canadian anthem, one lap with the Canadian flag. That's all she did. Honestly, they haven't had an act there in I don't know how long, and that's hard on me. That's where I grew up. That was my hometown rodeo. That's the one that's always, and I tried. I know everyone up. They all know me, but it's just something that's not a part of their program. So I was hoping I could maybe get in there before I retire, but I don't know. I had a bucket list, that I was really determined. And when me and my husband about a couple years ago, I was so determined. I was not quitting until I got that bucket list down. And now I've just kind of got a whole new appreciation for it. I'm just thankful. Thankful of the places that I've been, the places that I've got to go. My goodness, the people that I've met, and all of these rodeos, like it's connections. Like, I look at even Mike Granette here, that is the president of this one. He's one of our closest friends, like the friendships, the people that we've met all through the years.
nothing will ever replace that. So I'm just thankful now every time I get to go to a rodeo, every time I get to see everybody, because especially last year, it's an eye-opener how fast our industry can get taken away from us. And it's one that I'm just super blessed that I've been able to be in, and has opened up so many doors, continues to keep opening up doors for me. So,
well, you've been on the Jason Walker Show twice now.
I know. I feel pretty special.
See, there you go. Okay. A couple of final questions.
Yeah.
Let's stick with that theme. Cheyenne. Have you done Cheyenne?
No. 2019 I was supposed to, but we kind of got overbooked. Jessica Blair, she came with me here, I think in 2017.
Okay.
She had that contract, and I do things a little different than a lot of the people in this industry. Is I ride with kind of whoever. If you want me to trick ride, I'll come. And I'm one that I've never really stuck with a group. I ride with Piper, I ride with Shelby, but I'll also ride with whoever will kind of call me. I just love to trick ride. So if I'm going to make money and go, then yeah, I'm going to go. So Jessica and I have been riding together, I think, since 2012. And so she Roman rides, and I was supposed to go with her in 2019, and it didn't work. And then she had a 3-year contract. Well, then it's just kind of unraveled. And then it's one of those things that I haven't got there yet. And it was on my radar, and now I don't know if it's going to happen. And that's okay. I wish I could, daddy of them all, but I'm really glad that my best friend Jessica got to go there, because at least one of us can say that we've done it. So.
All right, you mentioned you're from Alberta. Now,
yes.
Butch Knowles, whenever I watch him on TV, says Calgary.
Calgary.
Is it Calgary or Calgary?
I say Calgary.
And you're from there?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But I don't know. Everybody makes fun of me because I went to Texas for so long, and then I had to pronounce things so different when I went down there, because they didn't know, like, decals and decals.
Wait, you say decals?
Mm-hmm. That's how we say it in Canada. It's a decal. But no, it's a decal.
It's a decal.
Yeah, I know. So now I don't know, because then I'll talk to my mom and I'll listen to how she pronounced things, and I giggle because I'm like, man, I don't pronounce it like that anymore, but I used to. So honestly, I'm a terrible probably person to ask, but I'll ask my mom. I'll just ask her to pronounce it to me, and then I'll see what she says.
Okay. Yeah, because I've heard it both ways.
I think I don't know. I've heard it both ways from Canadians too. So I think it's kind of just how much of an accent you got. I got in trouble at the radio station. Did you?
2 years ago, because I always would say Calgary. And I'm like, well, it's like Wilsall over in the... It's not Wilsaw. It's named literally after Willie and Sally that filmed...
Oh, see, I get that. I would have got that one wrong every time.
Wilsall.
I would have said, I don't say
Wilsaw.
it that. Yep.
You say Wilsaw.
Yeah.
Everybody does. But it's Wilsall. Okay. So I won't feel bad for saying Calgary.
No, that's how I would produce. That's how yeah.
Okay. What other words do you have troubles with? Besides out and about, I mean.
Oh, there were so many. Oh, aunt and aunt.
Well, that's just that
was one thing.
I think that's a personal preference.
Yeah. I don't remember. It was so many years.
Or status.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I say aunt.
Well, I think, pasta. Pasta and pasta.
Oh, okay.
We say our A's a lot more pronounced, I think, too. I don't know. I just remember when I was in Texas, and Keegan brought me home for the first time, and you go to a West Texas family, and here's Keegan, like, West Texas family, love them to pieces, but that's born and raised, never left, and here's Keegan brings home this Canadian, and they had so much fun with me and how I used to talk, because I had only been down in Texas for probably about 2 years when Keegan and I. 3 years, and Keegan and I really started, 3-4 years, Keegan and I really started dating. So I still had a pretty good Canadian accent. But when I got around his dad, oh my gosh, it'd be every other word, and he'd just start laughing. And I'm like, why are you laughing? And then Keegan would tell me, I'm like, oh my gosh. So I honestly, and then when I would go to Alberta, they would get mad at me because well, you sound like a Texan. And I'm like, well, if I sound like an Albertan in Texas, they can't understand me.
Yeah, you do have a different language up there.
We do. Even poor Keegan, when he went home to Alberta with me a few times, he can't order Sprite. He says Sprite, or I can't even say it how he says it, but to the Canadians, they cannot understand that Texas accent. And I think he's worse than me, because he went on the Chuck Wagon circuit. So then he started talking Canadian to kind of make fun of him a little bit, but then everybody called him a Canadian Texan, like, because he had this funky accent where he had both of them mixed together. And then last summer when the chuck wagons kind of quit, they still went on the Indian reservations and did some races on the Indian res. So he spent some time up there, and then he came back with a whole other accent.
Oh yeah, you spent some time near the res. You pick it up.
Oh, and they called him Champ, I think was his nickname, because he was the Texas champ that came up there. It was so funny, but he has now turned into he loves it. He loves the Canadian, so he is a straight Canadian now. There's no Texas accent left, and I giggle and I said, I did move to Texas to marry a Texan for reason. And, the accent was kind of a bonus. And then we moved to Canada, and then the accent's gone. We go straight Canadian. So.
You got to spend some time back down in Texas to bring it back. Because if you spend any time down south,
it doesn't take long.
No, because I was in North Carolina for like 4 days, and I came back talking like North Carolina.
Well, it's easy. It's easy to do, but it was funny because like every time he would do radio or TV interviews and stuff, all of his Texas family would be messaging him like, "What happened to your accent? Like, who are you?" And then even his dad one time is like, "Remember where you came from." Like,
that is funny.
Bring that accent, because it really did because. They all mess around up there and joke around and talk funny. So they start, oh my gosh, he was worse than an act. Yeah, he was a straight true Canadian.
Crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I'd love. Okay, I got to get both of you guys in next time.
Yeah, he'll enjoy. He's pretty funny.
Well, he scares me. So, because he scares me.
He scares you.
Yeah. Every time I see him in Helena, he just scares me. So we'll have to change that.
He always says that. He said, "I don't know why people think that I'm scary," because he's really not. But I said, "It's the mug. It's the mug look."
All right, you can check her out on Facebook, Madison MacDonald Thomas, or Magic in Motion Trick Riding Facebook page. And I don't know why we didn't show on Facebook today, but we'll get that fixed. It'll be on the JasonWalkerShow.com. I'll tag Madison. All right, so you're heading. You got Helena tomorrow. You head to Malta on Saturday, and then you go to California for a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Or back here Monday, and then California.
Yes, we'll head out Tuesday morning for Red Bluff and Clovis. Okay. So pretty crazy to think we're actually rodeoing, but
I know. How
it's
cool
awesome.
Is that, though?
I know. I'm really excited, and especially looking at almost a full calendar of shows. That's big blessing this year. So
hey, we've got a whole bunch of Montanans and friends of rodeo down in Kissimmee this weekend with the Ram Finals. So
yeah.
Have you performed there?
I did, but not in Kissimmee.
Okay.
I did it when I was in Oklahoma City.
Oh, okay. Man, you are old.
Yeah, I'm feeling like it. I was even told all my students the other day, I said, you guys do realize I am turning like into the grandma of the trick riding industry here pretty soon. Like, y'all have to start stepping up a little bit. No, there's a bunch of rodeos. I know Ty Erickson's headed to San Angelo this weekend in Texas, so that's gone on, and then we'll meet up together in Red Bluff. It's kind of crazy. There's Florida's going, and even like we were talking a little while ago, Oregon just had their first rodeo. So, and Montana seems like it's going full steam ahead too. So that's pretty exciting.
Yeah, definitely. You brought up I'm working with announcers.
Oh,
because you have to, right?
I love them.
Or you just give them the script. Who's your favorite announcer?
Oh, that's a tough one.
Well, yeah.
Oh, yeah, you're gonna put me on the spot with that.
And I got some good friends in announcing.
I know. I figured that. I don't know if I've got a favorite one, honestly. I love all of them. I've got such a good friendship with all of them. Well, shoot, like I've said, I've grown up in the industry, so I feel like they've all kind of seen me growing up through the years. Will Rasmussen.
Yep.
Yeah, he's one of my favorites. I don't even know how many times he's announced me. Wayne Brooks, though, he's been with me through thick and thin. Wayne Brooks has been by my side through everything, and same with Bob Tallman. Those two, like Bob was there when I first did Fort Worth and first did the NFR, so he was there right when I like really started. Yeah. But honestly, like I know almost all of them, and we have a really good friendship with all, and that's what I always say about our rodeo industry. I think it's not even an industry, it's a family. Yeah. It's 100% a family. We just lost a really good bullfighter a couple weeks ago, and it tore up our industry, and it's pretty crazy how close and intertwined we really are. We can be from across the country from each other where we grew up, but when we get on the road and you get to a rodeo, it don't matter where you're from. You're there to rodeo, you're there, you have each other's backs. And there's nothing like it, and I think that's why I've stuck in it for this long. And me and my husband talk about it too. And you know, I just look at the people. Oh my gosh, the people that we know. So it's pretty crazy. It's an awesome industry to be a part of.
I love being a part of the family, even though I don't really get to travel and do any of that stuff. But between Northern Rodeos in Montana and the PRCA stuff, I love it. And
and we're all interconnected.
Yes,
we all know each other.
Absolutely.
We all have a story about each other too.
And it's crazy too, because you know, I wanted to interview a little girl who trick rides, and I meet you, and now here we are, and
yeah,
you're gonna be wearing my shirt in Texas somewhere or California. I gotta get your husband on it, and maybe that's why he won't scare me if I give him a shirt.
No, you'll have to come in.
Yeah,
you'll have to come in. You'll have to ask him about all of his crazy chuck wagging experiences.
For sure, because that's a different thing. That's just,
you know what? It was amazing. He went up there. He won Calgary. He won Strathmore. He won High River that year. He won everything. And then at the end of the season, an outriding horse fell on him on the top barrel and ripped his shoulder out. And then we had to have shoulder surgery in 19, which put him out of the season. And then he went back rearing to go for last year. And then COVID hit. And then now it doesn't look like, he's been talking, doesn't really look like the wagons are going to go up there again, maybe a couple of shows, but not enough for him to even, you know, go back at. So now he's got a new shoulder, he's in shape, and he's feeling good. And so I think he's going to go back and get on some more bucking horses. Nice. And at least try to give that a roll, because it's one of those things when we're in this industry, it's hard to not be a part of it. And yeah, I'm like, well, you went, and I'm proud of him. We got a Calgary bronze. I'm like, you got a Calgary buckle. I said, that is pretty cool, especially for me growing up watching the chuck wagons.
Are you jealous?
Yes. But you know what?
Some Texan comes up and takes your buckles.
He is more famous in Canada than I am. They don't know me. They don't claim me. The Americans claim me. Like, I giggle all the time. I'm like, I'm actually, but nobody, because I don't know if I came down here and right. I really, Americans have always taken me in. They took me under my wing, but I giggle because we'll go up to Alberta and everybody knows Keegan, because he was the Texan that came up there and he broke all the records. He, did something that no other American ever did. No other American has ever gone into that chuck wagon community and won everything and kind of, kind of freaked him out for a little bit. He didn't have a lot of friends at the start, but by the end of the season he did.
Oh, I'm sure. Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan, you performed there?
No. Saskatoon, performed there a lot.
So you say it American-wise, Saskatoon. I've heard it like the Canadian way. You guys say the O's.
Oh yes, Toontown.
I've seen Mystery Alaska, which has nothing to do with Canada. Never mind. You guys just speak weird.
We do.
Yeah.
And honest, it's okay, because I've been down. I've had, like I said, I had to change.
Didn't have to. Don't be just.
Well, I know, but then you get,
you.
Oh yeah, then it just becomes, you have to explain a lot, and then it's just easier just to not explain.
Oh man, well, I wish you the best of success this summer, and I'll be in contact, of course. I was joking all week. I'm like, I don't know if we can perform in the studio. And
I know we'll have to do something. Hopefully, actually, one of my students booked the East Helena Rodeo this year.
Nice.
So if I don't get booked up that weekend, I might zip over there and hang out and help her out with one night. But I'm hoping to get some more events going. So we'll definitely keep in touch.
Yes, definitely. Madison MacDonald Thomas, Magic in Motion Trick Riding. You're going to have to stay here until I wrap up.
That's okay.
We'll have Lachlan on next week because, well, Madison was fun. So we'll just keep her here while we wrap up the show. That's what she said, by the way, brought to you by Dinner's Done Right. Make sure you stop into Dinner's Done Right for all of your fantastic to-go foods. This would be great. Dinner's Done Right would be great for traveling rodeo acts because you can put it in the freezer. And I'm sure you have the sleeping quarters. Mm-hmm. So you can just, you got little, take a couple of these on the road. You thaw them out, you cook them up. Just saying.
Yeah, no, it's a good idea.
Dinner's Done Right on Cedar and Helena. All right. I wanted real quick to get to the Jack Hanna news because his family announced today that he has Alzheimer's. And Jack Hanna, one of the best guys out there, I met him a couple times, got to hang out with him in Great Falls. Fantastic dude. We wish him and his family the best. We'll talk more about it next week. Also, next week, we'll talk about the NCAA screwing up again because they have no announcing crews for the first 2 rounds at the NCAA Women's Volleyball National Championships. Because, hey, why would you send announcing crews to promote women? I mean, that makes all not sense. Thanks, NCAA. All right, let's do On This Day in History is brought to you by Big Sky Printwear. We print what you wear. It is April 8th, Empanada Day. Do you like empanadas? They have them at Dinner's Done Right.
I don't even know if I've had...
It's like food inside of a bread, like a pasty almost.
Nope, no, I don't think I've ever ate one.
Okay.
I'm going to have to try this. Look at that. Look, learn something new today.
Empanadas over at Dinner's Done Right. There you go. There you go. It is Zoo Lovers Day, speaking of Jack Hanna. The second Augusta National Tournament, which became the Masters. Gene Sarazen won on this date in 1935. Joe Louis, in his 4th title defense in 9 weeks in 1941, beat Tony Musto. The 54th Masters in 1990, Nick Faldo goes back-to-back. Jockey Bill Shoemaker paralyzed in a car accident in this date in 1991. Kent Merker pitched a no-hitter in 1994 for Atlanta. Let's see. Yukon women beat Tennessee in 2003. In 2008, Tennessee women go back-to-back. They beat Stanford. Let's see. Bubba Watson won the Masters on this date in 2012. There were some other basketball games, and other people won tournaments. It is Sonja Hennie's birthday today. The famed Norwegian figure skater won 3 Olympic golds. John Havlicek, Gary Carter, born on this date. Kofi Annan, the former Secretary General of the UN, who my dad sold a fishing license to once. John Schneider, Biz Marquis. You say he's just a friend. It is Chris Kyle's birthday today, the American sniper. So we wish him a happy birthday. There you go. That is it for that. All right, let's do the walk-off.
We're almost at the end of the show. What did we learn? And what did he miss? Time for the walk-off.
All right. We're just going to talk about a lot of stuff next week. It was so much fun having Madison in studio, so we're gonna just put this up on JasonWalkerShow.com. Thanks for joining us for the full hour. It was so much fun to have her. She's a great trick writer. Go to her Facebook page. You'll see some great stuff and learn how to take some lessons and magic in motion trick writing. It's so awesome. If you haven't seen it, just Google it or Facebook it. If Facebook works today, I have no idea. But thanks for coming in. Tell your husband hi. And before you, when I walk you out, I'll get him a T-shirt too. And by the way, nobody answered the trivia question right yesterday. So nobody wanted a T-shirt. The guy that was red flagged or red tagged in Major League and got kicked out of spring training was Gentry. That was his name, Gentry. Nobody got it right. Who's not seen Major League? Killing me here. All right. Hope you had a good one. We're off tomorrow. We're going to be off a lot of Fridays this year. It's going to be nice, so we'll be on the golf course. But we're back Monday. We'll talk Raleigh-Worcester. We'll talk NCAA. We'll talk weekend auto contest, performance of the week. We'll do it all. Hope you have a great weekend. Be safe with whatever you do, and we'll see you on Monday.
The Jason Walker Show is produced by the Jason Walker Media Company. Any reuse, rebroadcast, or retransmission without the express written consent of the Jason Walker Show is strictly prohibited. Just listen, watch, and enjoy.